Danger Dolan. From raw dough containing killer ingredients to cooked fish that will turn you into a gibbering idiot, we count 15 quite harmful foods you're gonna find all over your house and kitchen.
Number 15.
Microwave popcorn. This only applies to the kind that comes pre-packaged and thrown into the microwave to let pop into an inflated state. Research shows the chemical used in certain types of these popcorn bags is linked to an increased risk of cancer, infertility, and disease in lab animals. It's highly recommended you instead make your own bag of popcorn, which is relatively easy and only takes around 5 minutes and won't kill you, unless you happen to choke to death on a popcorn. That would be a shame.
Number 14.
Potatoes. These things contain a natural toxin called glycoalkaloids found in the leaves, sprouts, and stems, and if allowed to build up over time, is potentially fatal. If you eat just 2 milligrams per kilo of your body weight in this stuff, you're gonna get cramps, diarrhea, and headaches. Eat between 3 and 6 milligrams and prepare for a coma or death, and avoid potatoes with a greenish tinge wherever possible.
Number 13.
Apples. There's the old saying, an apple a day helps keep the doctor away. But there's an even older saying, don't eat things that contain pesticide. Most mainstream apples are loaded with this pesticide unless you buy organically grown apples, and the apple seed themselves contain a compound which breaks down into cyanide. Of course, you need to eat dozens of apples and chew and digest all the seeds all in one afternoon before it can do you any harm. So unless you, the viewer, are in fact a horse, you should be safe.
Number 12.
Coffee. There's a variety of problems associated with coffee, including the story of the old woman from McDonald's who spilled her coffee and suffered third-degree burns over 6% of her body. If you have a heart rate problem or trouble sleeping, coffee certainly won't help, and not to mention it's going to stain your teeth just like smoking does. And if you mistake your tea bag for a bag of rat poison, well, that's just going to ruin your day.
Number 11.
Eggs. There's a reason people tend not to promote raw eggs in your traditional breakfast lineup, and that's because of a typical problem we refer to as salmonella. Most raw eggs contain this, but the more you find in the egg, the higher your chance to get sick. It's recommended to put your eggs inside the fridge the moment you get home from buying groceries, and also make sure to cook the egg until the yolk looks firm, unless you just want some time off work.
Number 10.
Raw cookie dough. You thought you could escape egg poison by baking up some cookies? Well, tough shit. Raw cookie dough contains uncooked eggs and therefore the risk of salmonella contamination. In fact, you likely used more than one egg, so the dough will be laced with it now. Furthermore, harmful bacteria make their way into the uncooked dough, be it from dirty bowls, unwashed hands, cutting board contamination, or a combination of the above. If someone offers you a taste of some raw cookie dough, give them an unpleasant bonk on the nose.
Number 9.
Processed meat. The American Institute for Cancer Research will tell you right off the bat that processed meat will riddle you with health problems. The preservatives used to help this meat sustain its longevity is linked to cancer, with higher rates of cardiovascular disease from subjects that consistently eat processed food. They recommend, if you can't live without hot dogs, chicken nuggets, or the like, to simply make your own. Or you can ignore what they say and not change your diet even slightly.
Number 8.
Hot dogs. You might think, well, it's likely the processed meat and pure unhealthiness that makes them a dangerous food. But no, a hot dog is perfectly shaped to slide down your breathing hole and choke you to death, which occurs more often than you think, especially in children 10 or younger. In fact, some health companies even suggest redesigning the hot dog to be less of a choke hazard. It's clearly evident here with this trampoline example I have thrown together that will allow the hot dog to bounce right back out of your oxygen tube. I think it could work.
Number 7.
Leafy greens. You've always been taught that green food is generally healthy, but in this case, there is a risk it'll get you violently sick. Before you eat any of these leafy greens, be sure to wash and dry them with paper towels, unless the package claims to have pre-washed or they are ready to eat. Then it should be safe. If you wash an already washed green, you risk spraying it with grime and the feces from your kitchen counter.
Number 6.
Jalapenos. This only happens to a select minority of people, but the oils may actually irritate your skin and cause it to swell up. In this case, it is recommended to cut these things wearing gloves, or at least use long tongs and a knife that can extend several meters. Or just not eat the jalapenos and deal with having a non-spicy salsa.
Number 5.
Tuna. Nobody talks about this, but eating tuna on a regular basis can actually be bad for you because of all the mercury that fish happen to absorb. If you've consumed large quantities of tuna on a regular basis, the mercury is going to slowly travel into your brain and then clog up the pathways. It'll actually drive you insane and make you blubber because your brain is now a pile of melted goo. It is possible tuna was designed to transform you into a brainless fish person, but this is pure unsubstantiated madness that has nothing to do with a conspiracy involving the government and marine life.
Number 4.
Rice. These contain a chemical known as arsenic, sucked up by rice roots from wet paddies, and it encompasses two types of arsenic. The organic kind, found in earth, generally safe, and the inorganic type, left over from pesticides and fertilizers, which actually increase the risk of type 2 diabetes, bladder cancer, skin, lung, and cardiovascular disease. It is recommended to not only eat rice as your only grain, but vary it up with others. And also, try not to live in Asia.
Number 3.
A blender. So, you're eating a blender, and your tongue catches on a sharp twirly bit. I'm not entirely sure how you made it this far in life.
Number 2.
Supermarket cashews. If the package says raw cashews, don't believe it. All it means is they've been steamed to remove a chemical commonly found in poison ivy. If the steam missed any of this chemical, all you need is a sufficiently high dose on a bad day, and you're going to be walking down shit creek without a stomach pump. Even worse is, if you're allergic to poison ivy, you won't get any warning. These cashews will kill you immediately, and that's not so fun.
Number 1.
Raw meat. If you've ever taken a food handling class like me, then you're gonna already know that raw meat is perhaps the deadliest food you can own. There are 4 steps you should always be aware of when preparing raw meat. First, you gotta wash your hands and wash the surfaces you plan to use. Second, separate these meats from other food because otherwise salmonella and E. coli will spread around your kitchen like wildfire. 3, you have to cook at the right temperatures, high enough to kill all the bacteria in the meat, but not so high that it burns the food. 4th, you have to refrigerate the meat if you're not using it. It's going to slow the growth of bacteria dramatically. And lastly, you got to rub the chicken carcass all over your face and sneeze into it for good luck. That's it for this countdown. Be sure to like the Facebook page and follow me on Twitter if you want to be informed about new videos as they go up. And have a good one! These things contain a natural toxin called glycol.